All right, Ed, so you just wanted to say a little bit about your mum and what happened to your mum.
Well, yeah. When she was in 1948, she must have been, because she was born in 1901,
Right.
and she was. Her mum was a gypsy, and she was born in 1864. Well, as far as we know, because gypsies didn't always register their children at that age. But anyway, my mum in 1948, she was 47. She took, ill, if you like, if you can describe it as an illness, with schizophrenia, and that really affected my life, I suppose. It affected all our lives. If you've ever had anyone in the family who's got schizophrenia, it's a difficult, especially if you're like we were, teenage kids. It was a difficult time. I was at school, and it made me more difficult at school, I'm sure. Really unsettled your life, and you couldn't understand why all this was happening. You could go to the cinema with your mum, and then she'd start talking loudly and talking about voices and stuff like that, and it was quite disconcerting, and you just want to shrivel up and die out of embarrassment. But I remember when I came out of the army, I was working on a building. The first bloke I met who I thought was a really good bloke, and he was a Jewish fella. He worked on the building. How many Jewish fellas were on the building? But he worked on the building. But he disliked governors. He wouldn't, and we worked for a little family firm, and he wouldn't put up with no shit from no governor, And I really admired him. But the job we were working on was in a mental hospital, the very mental hospital that my mum had been in, and we were building houses for nurses, and he would talk to the patients in a civilised manner. That's what I found really, because I had a mother like that, I was very sensitive to it all. And he was a socialist, although he was a Labour Party member. But he was a socialist, he was a good bloke. And he always gave the cigarettes to the patients, and took trouble to be... Whereas some people would take the piss out or something like that. But he wouldn't, no, he was... So, and he used to lend me books, political books. I was only 20, 21. And so he influenced me a lot. I thought, what, in registered there, what a good bloke, what decent principles he's got. So, all these things shape your life, and you become, because you have a mum who's got some peculiarities, it makes you sensitive to other people's peculiarities, and you I wouldn't say you make concessions, because you understand that they're going through problems that no one would want to go through, so it does help shape who you are and what you become.
And what was your mum? Did she stay in hospital, or what happened?
No, she was in and out at different times, and she had she had the old electric treatment and all that. Oh, when I think about it now, I shudder. I think what she went through. It's just because they put her in one of them cells or something, and all that, padded cell. And
Did she ever sort of?
She was very.
recover?
She could become very violent when she was, because there was I don't know what it called. I suppose it was childhood, because her family were quite violent, really, and there was sort of. There always was in working class families. It was a big family, 16 kids and that, and so I think that has a lot to do with it. But it was a real stressful time for our family.
Where was she? Was she from the East End as well?
Yeah, she was from Bethnal Green. My
Bethnal
dad
Green.
was from Stepney.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what about your dad? Did it affect your dad as well?
I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad was he was a bit like me when he was a young man. He was a rebellious person, and his dad had died when he was 12. So he would have been about 13 when his dad died, because he was born in 1901, and he'd been a bit of a wild child, you know. And I think this does go in families, you know. Things do go in families, and he wasn't. I don't suppose he described himself as the ideal husband to begin with, you know what I mean? He was a bit wild and a bit selfish, as we all can be a little bit. I'm sure I know I was. So, but he really, at the end of the day, I know he really loved me mum. Do you know what I mean? And when this happened, he must have realised what he probably part of it was down to him. He probably felt that anyway, you know, that he hadn't been as good as what he should have been. And down the dock, they used to call him shopping bag, because he used to always have a shopping bag, because he had to do the shopping. Because we was kids, you know, he did his work. He had to come home and do the washing and stuff like that. In the end, he became a really good bloke. You know, this experience helped to shape him as well, shaped us all. You know,
yeah. So okay. So your mum she never really recovered from the schizophrenia.
No,
she was just in and out of hospital.
Spent all those years. She lived till she was 86, and like from 49 till she was 47. So literally 39 years of torture. You know, poor woman. I really love me mum as well. I love me dad.
Yeah.
But, you know, so it's a sad thing.
Yeah. So did it bring you and your sister closer together because of?
Oh, I'm sure. We've always been very close, me and my sister. We've all through the war. She's older than me. She's 4 years old. She always looked after me. You know what I mean? It's a sort of, and she'd never have a bad word said about me. I know she wouldn't. Nor would I about her, by the way. You know, but that's how we were. You know, because we were close together. We did things, you know. We were evacuated together, you know, and we experienced a lot of those things together.
So when did your dad leave the dock then? When did he retire from the dock?
He was 68 when he retired, and he could have retired at 65. And he said to me, "I don't know, retire." And I said, I didn't want him to retire, you know what I mean? And maybe it was being selfish, and I said, you're all right, why not stay down there, you know? And he stayed for as long as he could stay, you know. But he was the first bloke in the dock. He got his, because you got a bit of, what he got was, I don't know, about 500 quid, nothing much to speak of, you know. But he spent all, or was it a one or something like that? He spent it all on a party for all the boys. Yeah. But and then after that, everybody used to have if they were retiring or anything, they'd have a party or redundancy party or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when did he retire? What year was that then? He retired.
When he retired, he was 68, so it had been 69.
69. Okay. All right. And when did he sort of die?
He died in just after the 1972 strike. That you know, we went on them big marches together and that, you know. And
so he didn't have a very long retirement then.
No. And yet he died of emphysema, but because he smoked.
Oh right.
I packed up smoking after he died. As soon as I realised that was a smoking-related disease, that was it. You know, because you are killing, literally killing yourself by smoking, so it's ridiculous. And not only that, the quality of life. But he'd always been quite fit and lively and walked around, you know. And the other thing about my dad, the interesting thing about my dad, is he loved classical music, opera, ice skating. He was a good skater himself as a kid.
Yeah.
And singing, he sang himself when he was a kid, yeah. In choirs and that, you know.
How did you develop those interests then? How did that come about? Like classical music and...
I really don't know.
That'd be,
But he sang in the choir in front of the royalty as well.
Oh,
yeah. Not that when he grew up, he didn't. We were a family. This was our family. We'd go to the pictures during the war, because everybody went to the pictures just to escape for 5 minutes from what was going on. And you'd hear boom, bang, bang while you was in the pictures. And at the end of every performance, they would play God Save Our Queen, and everybody would stand up. But my dad, sit where you are. We don't stand up for nobody, you know. And we didn't. We never, ever, you know, royalty, and you know, because what is the Queen? What is the royal? The Queen is a symbol, or the King. It's a symbol of privilege, right? We don't agree with privilege, so you have to get rid of the symbols as well as the actuality. You get rid of the symbols, because it's the symbols that holds it. A part of it helps to hold it together. So by supporting the Queen, you are supporting the privileged society that goes with the Queen.
Was your mum the same? Did she have the same?
Yeah,
outlook?
she did. They were both atheists.
It's really interesting where that comes from then. Really.
Yeah, I mean,
how that came about, because they weren't involved in politics or party politics or
no,
anything.
But they were atheists.
And they were you know, anti-authority and stuff.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah, it's interesting.
not so much me mum.
Yeah.
But she was still a rebellious person, you know. Yeah. She was a fighter, my mum. She was. She came from a family, you know. Her family, there was loads of them in her. Not only were the kids that my gran had, 16, but there was also kids who got out of the orphanage, you know, who were in the family, who came to live with them. So there was like 21 of them, you know, in Old Bethnal Green Road, and they had, you know, being old gypsy, like my granddad, like I never met them, he died before. Both my granddads died. My dad's dad died through an accident in the dock. Yeah, I've still got the letters upstairs of from the men's committee complaining about the conditions they were working under and all that. Anyway, and but my mum's family, they were called the Mad Houses. They were absolutely, you know. All the boys like boxing and sport, and they lived opposite Arthur Dano, who was a leading fighter in the 30s and everything, you know. So they all loved boxing, and they all fought and everything, you know. Everyone was a bit wary of them, I think, you know, because they were completely nuts, the whole lot of them.
Okay. One thing I didn't ask you, was it always intended for you to go in a dock? Did you always have that in your mind, that you were going to end up as a docker? Because you said you're a 4th generation docker.
Not initially, but as time went on, I did want to go in the dock. Yeah, I did. And I have to say, I still meet all my mates now at Christmas and other times. We still, you know, every time we meet, you know, talk about work, talk about when we used to work. It was the camaraderie. It was, but they know it as well. They loved it. Some of them have worked. Some of them are younger than me. They've worked in other places since, but they always think those the days, you know, when. We had a great life as workers. Yes. You know, in a way that a lot of workers don't get the chance because we had strong organisation and all that. You know.
Does it come down to power? You know, you had some power and control over your own lives.
The more control you've got over your own life, the only way you can have control over your own life is to come together to have control. You can't individually. You know, everyone's, you know, this notion that we've all got the general's knapsack in, you know, or stick in our knapsack and all that crap, that is nonsense, you know. You know, the ruling class, you know, they read their Machiavelli, the Prince, how to get power, how to retain power. We have to read Machiavelli, how we're going to get power and how we retain power. But the whole operation is about doing away with classes, having no classes, and all enjoying lives together as human beings.
Okay, lovely. Thanks for that, Ed.